down low. Here he is out high. Holds, waits, fires, and scores! Matvei Michkov has his first goal at the Wells Fargo Center. And the Flyers are back on top. It's 3-2.
This is episode 116 of the Liberty Yell. Danny Deemer here with Chris Stumbo.
As always, how are you, buddy?
I'm doing great, and the draft is right around the corner, man. We have a couple more games of the Stanley Cup Final, and then you get the sense that the summer is really going to begin, and just excited for it. I kind of want to get the Stanley Cup out of the way at this point.
Yeah, I was kind of saying that to myself today. Even though they've been great, like I can't take away. Like I think I saw a tweet by Alex on Twitter, and I was like, "Oh, damn, that's really true." It's been a pretty good year for hockey. Like the Four Nations tournament was really good, was really fun. Like I had people who don't watch hockey like that come up to me and be like, "That was some of the best hockey I've watched in 30 years." Obviously, you have the Ovechkin thing, which a lot of non-hockey watching people will still kind of tuning in for that, and then the Cup. I mean, these games have been really, really fun if you were able to stay awake for them. But yeah, draft very soon, which that's another thing I was saying to myself today. It feels like the draft has been coming so slow. Like I feel like I've been waiting forever for this draft to finally be here, but it is finally to this date 2 weeks away. Yeah, so 2 weeks from now we will be in the middle of the draft, probably as we're speaking. 10:30, the draft will still be on, so very excited indeed. Things to start ramping up because I'm very bored.
Yeah, speaking of being bored, we got a piece of news on Maxim Shabanov.
Yeah, I don't really know if right now the last thing that I heard was, that I've seen on Twitter, was that he's still mulling his options and the Flyers are really interested, but. He's somebody to take to keep an eye on. We'll talk more about that when Derek hops on because he was the one who had that in the beginning. I had no idea what was even happening, and I hopped on. I was like, oh shit. But yeah, I mean, apparently the Flyers are extremely interested in him, but he hasn't made a decision yet as of now. But when he does, I'm sure the Flyers will be in that discussion because I mean he's gonna have a lot of teams trying to get him, but if they can land a guy like that, I mean, he's a really, really talented player. He's only 24, I think. So we'll definitely talk more about that once Derek hops on. But I did see that.
Yeah, we'll dig more into specifics when he gets on. But that's a very exciting move, in my opinion. That is something I can get really excited for. Doesn't take a lot to gamble on a player like that. He just has to pick your franchise. If he picks your franchise, you can sign him to a nice low-risk deal. Ton of skill. See people complaining about size, but we need skill. I think size is more easier to acquire than skill is. And just give me all the Russians, man. I love it. I love going on YouTube and watching some prospects or some players' KHL highlights and getting excited. Let me do that again.
Also, it's like that's the kind of move that a team that the Flyers are in take, right? Like take a chance. He's not going to cost you anything. If anything, he's going to cost you a couple millions of dollars with performance bonuses like Michkov did, if anything. But, I mean, that's exactly the kind of risk. No, I mean, it's not even a risk. If he doesn't work out, what do you lose, right? It's the perfect kind of move that a team that the Flyers are in. I mean, the Flyers lack talent. We know that. We've been talking about it for what feels like, 4 years, 5 years now? Just like, I just want to see talented players. And if he can... If he picks us, like you said, that could be a hell of an ad. Like him and Michkov with, I mean, even Couturier centering them would be really, really fun to watch.
Yeah, that's fun, dude.
Guess you have to put at least a little bit of size in that on that line, right?
For sure. But if they got a piece like him, had a great draft in the fans' perspective, and maybe made a couple acquisitions through trade or through free agency that are nice. Like that's kind of what we've been asking for, huh?
Yeah. I mean, this is the summer that they have. I mean, they have cap space. They have about $20 million. I mean, I know they still have York to deal with. I don't know what's going to happen there. We talked about Case. We talked about Forrester. But yeah, this is the summer, man. I mean, you got 7 picks in the first 2 rounds. I mean, we've mentioned it in every podcast that we talked about. I mean, that we've had in the last fucking 5 months. I feel like we just 7 picks in the first 2 rounds is, I mean, not unheard of, but I mean, it's you're playing with house money, right? I feel like that's something that me and you always say to each other back and forth. Playing with kind of how when you take a risk with the pick, whether that's trading off for somebody or trading back into the first round. Like I want to see the Flyers cement like this is our not our draft particularly, but like this is the draft that we're going to take some shots. This is where we're going to pick some exciting players, and I want to see them be aggressive. Like that's the end all be all, right? Just I want to see aggression. I would like to see them take, even if it's a smallish player, like you said. Like I'm going to butcher his name, Cole Renshie. I don't know how to say his last name, but if they could target him, if he's available in like the mid-teens, I would be really excited if they could go and try to grab him. But aggression, like whether it's maybe if Jackson Smith falls a little bit and they go and grab him, that would be really cool to see. But even if they use it in a trade to bring an active player back, like just aggression at the end of the day. I know I keep saying it, but I just want to see that.
What are your thoughts on the decentralized draft? Do you want to get into that?
Yeah, I'm not a huge fan of it, to be honest with you, but the NFL does it. I mean, and I still enjoy watching the NFL draft. But I mean, I like that being. I like the idea of the NHL only doing that. You know what I mean? Like, I don't know if the NBA still does that. They might do the decentralized draft as well. But I like the idea of having all the teams on one floor. I feel like we grew up watching that. Maybe just because I'm so familiar with it, but I do like the fact. I mean, I did like the fact that they had all the teams on the same floor, and you saw the GMs talking to each other, and you saw the 5th and 6th round picks being able to walk up to the team, like to the scouts that just vouch for them 10 minutes before. You know what I mean? Like I liked seeing that. That was pretty cool. But I heard it's only going to be this year. I don't know how true that is. You can fact check me on that later.
Well, why is that? What's the reasoning behind that?
I don't know. I don't know. I know what we had in 2020 in Forrester's draft, I believe, with COVID and stuff, but I don't know why it would only be for a year. Maybe what I saw about it only being for a year wasn't true, and we're just talking about something that isn't true. So I don't know. We'll see. But yeah, I'm not a huge fan. What about you? Do you like it?
I think I agree with your perspective. I like seeing the GMs on the draft floor. I think it adds to the product. Like you said, growing up, there was just a certain feel to the draft when you tuned in and just saw all those teams at their tables all next to each other, and you see the conversations happening. And it was always crazy when a trade happened and the camera cuts to the GMs of those teams at the table. And we had that cool draft moment where, what was it? They had to hide the nameplate of Michkov.
Yeah.
A couple of years back. I don't know. I think it's better for the league to have them all in one place. But I don't know. I saw someone on Twitter make the point that in football, like crazy shit still happens and teams are able to be in their war rooms. So it might make them more aggressive. But I don't know. It's just, I guess it might be nostalgia. Like I just like seeing GMs on the draft floor.
No, I definitely think it's that. I definitely think that has a huge part in it. I mean, like you said, I mean, we're Eagles fans, so I mean, we know firsthand that the decentralized draft doesn't really stop GMs from making moves. Pretty sure Howie Roseman went out and grabbed AJ Brown while he was chilling in Philadelphia.
Howie's so good.
I know. I need to see aggression like that, Danny. I need to see Danny Briere throw his dick on the table and be like, this is my draft. Like, I'm going to make a fucking splash. I want to have people talking about how the Flyers came in and they knew what they wanted and they went and got it. Like, I need something like that, man. Like, I was talking to them in the group chat. Like, I would really like, I mean, it's not going to happen because I think Jackson Smith's going to go a lot higher than a lot of people think. Because he's a really good player. But if he falls, I would really like the Flyers to try to be aggressive and trying to go get him because he could be a really good piece back there. But I mean, is there anybody that you? I mean, speaking of the draft, is there anybody that you over the last week or two have? I know you said what Desnoyers last week, and then we kind of talked you into Jake O'Brien a little bit.
Yeah.
I don't know if you've kind of looked into anybody else.
No, I'm only focused on the 6th pick. I'm not really focused on late first round because I think the draft is already a crapshoot. Are you talking about number 6?
Yeah, I'm talking about number 6. Like, just is there anybody else that have kind of caught your eye that maybe you would consider that? I know you like Higgins. It's not really. I can't talk you out. Like, I'm not going to talk you out of liking Higgins. It's pretty hard to do that.
I kind of have like a 3-headed monster of Higgins, Desnoyers, and now O'Brien. They leave the draft day with one of those guys. I'm happy.
I think there's a high percentage chance that you do see that.
Porter, what are your thoughts on Porter Martone? If he's available at 6, do you just jump at the opportunity to take him, or?
Yeah. I mean, I'm very excited to get Derek's take on this, but personally, and I know he probably would agree with me, if Porter Martone is there, yeah, I'm taking him. Like I know he's the right wing, and I know we have an abundance of right wings, but I mean, you deal with that issue when it's time to deal with that issue. In my opinion, you can make things work. You can trade guys. We see it, other teams do it all the time, but I think they would be at the end of the day, they'd be kind of kicking themselves for not taking Porter Martone. I mean, he's a really good player. I mean, this is a guy that not too long ago people had 1 and 2. I mean, it's not like this. He fell off the face of the earth too. He still has pretty good production numbers. But yeah, I think he's just too talented of a player to leave on the board, and hopefully the Flyers agree with me. Definitely would like to get Derek's take on it too, but I mean, that's how I feel about it personally. It would be personally, if I was Briere and I was sitting there and Martone was available, it would be really hard for me to go up there and not pick him. It would have to be like so insane. I mean, maybe I would pick Higgins over him, maybe, but it would probably still end up being Martone if they were both available, but it would be a really hard decision. But yeah, I mean, I really like Martone. I mean, this kid, he just played. I mean, I know there were other players not available, but he just played in the for Canada.
He did. Yeah, I watched a couple of those games.
And
it's kind of in a depth role, but
yeah, and I know that at times he looked out of place, but I mean, he still put up some points. But I would like to see Porter Martone in orange and black. That'd be an extremely exciting thing for the Flyers fans. Because I mean, we just talked about the Flyers needing talent, right? And I mean, he would certainly be. He would be instantly a number 1 prospect, and that's nothing against Jet Luchenko. I think Luchenko's going to be a solid player, but Porter Martone would be instantly the most talented prospect that we have. Maybe you can argue as of arguing, but I mean, goalies are always question marks. You can never actually figure them out until they're all like 25 or 26. So we'll see with him, but Martone would be awesome.
Yeah, I think the Flyers are just not in a position to chase their needs. It has to be best player available, right?
I mean, wait, hold on. Martone didn't put it. I could have sworn Martone had a goal and assist in with Canada in the World Cup, but he didn't. He played 2
he didn't really play much. Yeah.
I could have sworn he had like a couple points though, but I was wrong about that. I'm sorry.
And they got eliminated by Denmark early.
Denmark, yeah.
That was insane.
What did you ask me? I'm sorry. I just wanted to clear that up.
I was just saying, like, as an organization, the Flyers are not in a position to chase their needs. Like, it needs to be best player available.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's perfectly said. Like, even though they have the obvious huge question mark at C, I don't think, like you said, they're in the position to pass up a talent like Martone. And I think hopefully they agree with me and take him. I'm so nervous because I know and I like Jet, man. I really do. I think he's going to be a good player, but like, I hope they just don't try to be smarter than everybody else. You know what I mean? Like, just make the pick. Just make the pick. Let the guy do Michkov and just let the guy, let whoever falls to 6 fall, because it's going to be a good player. No matter who it is, whether it's O'Brien sitting there, whether it's Desnoyers, which I don't think is going to be there. I think he's going to go 3 or 4. But Higgins, I mean, you can't walk away from those guys. Don't galaxy brain it and just pick the guy that falls, you know?
I want to talk about Jet for a second. I want to know what are you concerned about his, maybe not lack of scoring ability, but the lack of willingness to try and score? Like, does that stick out to you at all? Do you see that in his game? Because to me, like, I feel like he just doesn't, I don't know, shoot it enough.
It's not just that he doesn't shoot it enough. His offensive awareness isn't really, at least right now. I mean, he's still a really young player, but his offensive awareness isn't really there.
He does some things really well. I will say that.
He does. I mean, he's a good playmaker. I don't think he's a great playmaker, but he's a pretty solid playmaker, especially for his age. And in the pro level, like, he did have some pretty good plays with the Phantoms, but I think with the Phantoms in the playoffs, he was kind of overwhelmed with the physicality, and that's. I mean, I'm not shocked by that, but yeah, I mean, I think Derek had a really good breakdown on his on like one. I posted a picture, not a picture. I posted a video on not posted it, but it was Zach's video of Michkov making a really good play when Luchenko was his line mate against Vancouver in the first couple games of the season, and Luchenko had a chance to kind of open up ice, and he kind of took a weird route. Like, if you want to go see the breakdown, Derek quote tweeted one of my videos on TLY's Twitter. If you want to go check that out, but I think it was a good breakdown of how Chet is in how he is in the offensive zone and how he kind of has to adjust playing the pro game and kind of just his awareness of space and stuff. But I think the capability, like his hands and his IQ. I mean, he's a smart kid. And he has like eyes in the back of his head. He's a really good passer. So I think if he just gets the spacing and where he should be at certain times in the offensive zone down, I think he'll be okay. I'm not concerned right now. No, like, I'm not hitting the panic button with him. Do I think he's going to become a 1C? Like, do I think he's magically going to turn into a goal scorer, Jeff Carter, where he's just wiring pucks? No. Do I think he's going to improve from where he is now? Yeah. But no, I'm not concerned overall.
Yeah, he's still so young.
Yeah,
got a long way to go before he hits his final form. I want to get into the Rick Tocchet comment on Michkov. It was regarding the power play, right?
Yeah, I mean, it was just regarding. No, it was specifically regarding the power play. How he wants to get him the puck below the goal line, and how just get him the puck more in general.
Do you have the quote on hand, or should I pull it up?
I think I have it. Yeah, I think it was John Bailey had the article in the Hockey News. Shout out John Bailey. Quote was from Tocchet: "You want to get the guy like Matvei Michkov the puck a lot. I've been watching their power play, and I know they've struggled the past couple of years, but I saw some really good glimpses. Like when he gets the puck down below, he's got that ability to find people. He's thinking 2 steps ahead, so we have to get everybody in sync on that. Obviously, we don't want to put too much pressure on him because he's only going to be in his second year, but there's a lot of good things there."
Dude, that's a good quote. That's a really good quote.
Every time he talks about Michkov, I just have myself smiling. I mean, I know it's not. I mean, he's not saying anything crazy. Like, yeah, get the best player of the puck. Like, I would hope you would know to do that as a coach making millions of dollars. Like, he's not saying anything crazy here, but it is refreshing to hear. Like, I mean, and it's true. Like, how many times last year did you watch the power play games? Like, why is he not touching the puck at least 6 times during his shift? Why are you not feeding this guy the puck? Like, he's the best option on the power play. Why would he not be the main focus? It blew my mind. I remember texting you during games. Like, why would he not be the main
Sometimes
focus?
He wouldn't be on the ice. I mean, majority of the time he was, but there was a few occasions where he wasn't even on the ice.
It's crazy. It's crazy. And I guess to hear this now, even though it's not the most insane thing, like, it's nothing crazy, it is nice to hear. Like, yes, Matvei Michkov is going to give you the best chance to score on the power play from what we have on the team right now. So having him out there, like, I remember me and you joked around, like, double shift him at this point. Like, who on the power play? Who gives a fuck? Just get him out there, get him creating, get him comfortable for next year. So when he's out there, he's firing pucks in, he's setting dudes up. I mean, he is the best. I think when him and Konechny were swapping off the wall, and he was feeding Konechny in the slot, and the Konechny would swap with him and go below, and he would drive the net. I thought they had something going there. So if they kind of continue and branch off that, I think they got something going there.
Yeah, and Tocchet mentioned that he's been watching a lot of power play film from last year. And I like to see that. I like that they're hammering that home already in June because it's been so atrocious and it desperately needs a fix up. And good.
I mean, there's only one way you can go, right? You can only go up from
you really
how fucking
can
bad
only
it's
go
been.
up. But if they could get that to like 16th, 17th, that's a win. Like at this point. But it's a good quote to see because when Tocchet's hired, everyone's, he's just going to dump and hack style hockey, point shots, redirects. And don't get me wrong, he's not talking about even strength hockey, so that doesn't put that to bed there. But it's nice to see him recognize what it is. Like Michkov is the franchise player. The team is on his back. It's nice to see a guy who hasn't coached for one game yet already just kind of recognize that.
For sure. It's refreshing, right? Like, get him the puck as much as you can. Thank you. And I don't even know how to pronounce the assistant coaches that they hired. Yaroslav Safkovsky and then Jay Verardi. So those guys will be behind the bench too. So like you said, like them watching last year, like these guys weren't here last year. So to see who they're working with, because a lot of these guys are going to be back.
They're probably watching the film like, what are they doing?
What the fuck? Yeah.
What was their plan here?
Oh my god! They're like, wait, who's on the wall? Tippett? They're like, what the fuck? That's funny.
That's hilarious.
No, but you're right. Like every time he talks about Michkov, I have a smile on my face. It's just like, yeah, this kid's like. I think I said it last pod. Like he walks that fine line of wanting to be like, yeah, I can't wait to fucking get my hands on this kid. He's gonna be so fun to coach. Like he kind of keeps it proftional. It seems.
Yeah,
like, if you read between the lines a little bit.
Exactly. He's essentially saying it in coach's language.
Yeah, it is. It's nice to hear instead of like he's got to learn the defensive game. Like it's really nice being like, yeah, we have a guy who's really good offensively, and we're gonna get him the puck constantly. That's really fun to hear.
He's gotta earn it.
Yeah, he's got it. Yeah, dude, like, I'm so tired.
Cliches, yeah, just classic cliches.
But also, I'm also really bored. Like I know we're talking about the draft, and I know like we're in the dead season of hockey. Like, dude, we're getting like. Did you see the Chris Kreider trade to Anaheim?
I did.
Like,
yes,
okay, give me something else. Like, come on,
that's boring as shit. That's a boring ass.
And move. I know the fucking finals are on, and usually it's like an unwritten rule to like make a huge trade during the finals to take attention away. But like, I'm so fucking bored, dude. I can't wait for this to this draft to get here and for us to finally get started and make some moves. I want to see some fun additions, Danny.
At least the finals are good because there's some years where we're in this like dog days stretch and the finals are bad, and that always makes it 20 times worse. Because in hockey, for some reason, first couple rounds are always fantastic, and that probably has something to do with the seeding. But sometimes you get a really bad final, and especially in the last 10 years. I mean, the Penguins finals, they were pretty one-sided. Tampa, they played Montreal the one year. I mean, that was a formality. Like, when you have a good final, it does make getting to the end of June easier. So I'm thankful for that. But I agree with you. That's why when the Shabanov news hit the timeline, I was like, thank God. Flyers are trying to do something exciting, and it's fun.
All right, we're going to get into some questions from the viewers. There's not a lot, but there's still some. We'll go through them. We'll go first with... It's a good question for Danny. From Panarin 10, 6th overall for Barzal. What are your thoughts?
Cool. Are the Islanders trying to move him? Or?
Nah, I haven't seen anything. I think it's just like a thought.
Just a thought? Yeah, I mean... How old is he? He's still young. Obviously.
28.
What the fuck? He's 28?
Mm-hmm.
Oh my God. That's insane to me. No.
I'm like 97% sure he's 28.
Wow.
Let me check.
Didn't he feel younger?
No, that's probably where I'd put him. Yeah, he's 28.
What draft was he? 16?
15.
Oh my god. Man, he's old.
I want to
That's
say.
great. I just always thought of him as like the Islanders' young, fun player who is speeding around the zone and scoring on the Flyers. So I just assumed he was still like 24, 25. But if he's 28, man, that's a good question because he's already proven. But he's 28. Nah, I wouldn't do it. I mean, realistically, the Flyers are what? 3-4 years out of serious contention. And that's if everything goes well, right? So, no, that doesn't make sense. You want to take a guy at 6 who can hopefully be
Yeah, not for 6. Not for 6. I would try my best to work my way around the 6th pick. I wouldn't do it for number 6. No.
Yeah, like you said, he's 28. I mean, by the time the Flyers actually contend, he'll be 32. And we're probably going to have to give him a great contract at some point for him, a great contract for him. And
he is...
doesn't really excite me.
Pretty sure he's in year 3 of 8. So if we traded for him, we would be eating $9.1 million for the next 5 years.
Nah, it was a fun thought, but nah.
No, Danny, you shooting that down?
Yeah, you have to. It just doesn't make sense for a team who, I mean, we're not competing right now. It just doesn't make sense.
We have another question, and I think it's from Justin. We'll take Justin's right now. Shout out, Justin. Power ranking the following trade candidates, and this is something that I was just talking about. Jackson Smith, Lakovich, Radim Murka, and Eklund. Yeah, so Eklund is the one guy that I could see in this draft, and whichever team ends up with him just kind of looks around and is just like, yeah, sure, we'll take him. But I don't know if there's anybody in that group that I mentioned that you would like to see them trade back up for. I don't know if you want to hear their group again, but
I think you would know more about those names than I would. I know of Jackson Smith, and haven't really looked into anybody else as far as those prospects. So that's more of a you and Derek thing.
Yeah. Speaking of Derek, I'm about to get him in here. But yeah, no, Jackson Smith would be a really good. I mean, I don't even think he's going to be there personally.
Probably not.
I don't think he's. I think he's going to be a guy that goes a little bit higher than most people expect. But if he's sitting there, he's 100% somebody I would love to see the Flyers go after.
People always jump on defensemen as early as they can if they need them. And yeah, he won't fall.
He kind of reminds me of Sergachev with the way he can skate. He's a really good skater, and he can jump in offensively, but he's really sturdy defensively. Loves to throw the body. He's kind of an all-around modern-day defenseman, the kind of guy you want on your back end. We have another question from Jake Cornelius. If the Flyers go Martone at 6, how do the Flyers get a future 1C? I think that's a good question for Danny.
Well, it's going to have to be through trade or free agent signing at that point. They're probably not going to pick this high again. I mean, maybe that's me coping, thinking that they're going to be better next year. Maybe, who knows? They might just still suck next year, but I don't know, it has to be through the market, wouldn't you think? Or maybe some guy in the system just completely outshines his projection.
Yeah, you'd have to get lucky at some point, right? If you don't land a one. I mean, it all goes back to what we were saying. And I mean, we have Derek here now, but Derek, we were talking about, like, if Martone is there, you have to end up taking him. And the question is from this guy, Jay Cornelius, if the Flyers go Martone at 6, how do the Flyers get a future 1C? And it kind of ties back into what me and Danny were talking about earlier about how if Martone is there at 6, it's kind of hard to not do that, you know?
Yeah, because I'd say a team is not built in a vacuum, and the 1C you need when you have Matvei Michkov and Porter Martone on the same team is a lot different than the quality of 1C that you need when you don't have Matvei Michkov and Porter Martone on the same team. I mean, look at Colorado for an example, especially post Rantanen trade, They have Nathan McKinnon, and then I have no idea what they have at their wings besides Arturi Lehkonen, who's a pretty decent player, Nichushkin every other 6 months, Marty Necas, who just got here 5 minutes ago and already is rumored to be leaving. Like, they have a mess on their wings, and so therefore they need a deity in the form of Nathan McKinnon to save them from all of their woes. And by the way, it still isn't working out all that well. Meanwhile, you have in Dallas a team who has gone further in the playoffs than Colorado every single season for the last, I think, 3 years. Who is their 1C? Roope Hintz. That's a pretty good player. He barely scratches 80 points when he plays with an elite 100-point winger and on the best line in hockey attached to Miro Heiskanen, who was putting up 70 points when Roope was putting up 80 points. Roope is a really good player. Is he even half of the player that Nathan McKinnon is? No. And that is kind of the point I'm getting at. Dallas is only one example. When you have superstar wingers, the standard of center that you require is dramatically lowered. I mean, look at the Flyers, for an example. Unfortunately, and I hate this because I do love Sean Couturier as a player, the memory of Sean Couturier, the faded memory of Sean Couturier and Matvei Michkov did legitimate damage together throughout the year. They outscored opponents on the Flyers who had goalies who had an .877 scoring percentage, not save percentage. They probably let in 87% of shots they faced, but somehow those two managed to outscore their opponents. So what kind of 1C do you need if you have, let's just say, Michkov and then another winger who's 80 to 90% of Michkov? And then Travis Konechny is all of a sudden your third best winger. What level of centers do you need?
Oh, I thought Danny was going to jump in there, but he didn't. No, I mean, I agree with you. It is funny that I will say the one team that you used as like an example, like hasn't won a cup yet, but I mean, yeah, they have gone farther.
I could use the example Colorado. Of the current dynasty, though. I mean, they have Alexander Barkov, but yeah, Florida, they have Alexander Barkov, sure. First of all, if
he's a 1C for sure.
He is a 1C for sure. Is he a 1C compared to Connor McDavid? He keeps beating Connor McDavid.
I mean, no, you can't really compare anybody to Connor McDavid. Connor McDavid's in a league of his own.
Exactly. And yet Connor McDavid has lost to Florida once. And, we'll see how this series goes. It's a fantastic series. But if it was solely about, all-time series. But, if Connor McDavid can't take down Alexander Barkov, who is not on his level because very few people are, and he's not one of them, that kind of answers my point. Who does McDavid have on his wings versus who does Barkov have on his?
Yeah. I mean, Barkov plays with who? Verhaeghe and
Reinhart.
Marchand? Reinhart? I thought it was Marchand right now, but
at this point, the Marchand line might be their top line, and that's with Anton Lundell.
Dude, it's crazy how fucking deep they are. Like I was watching last night, and it was just like I think I said it on the last pod, Danny. Every time a Florida Panther touches the puck, it's somebody that can do something fun with it. If that makes sense, you know what I mean?
Every player,
it's insane, dude.
They are like the most perfect hockey team I've ever watched. Just from their system to their personnel to their coach to their goalie, where's the hole in that team? There is none.
I know. And they seem so fucking annoying to play against.
Discipline.
So annoying to play against.
Favorite too, because they just become the bad boys, and like if you commit 12 penalties, they're only going to call 1 or 2 in the playoffs. So the other 10 are kind of a net positive.
It kind of depends on the game, but you're kind of right. It's a double-edged sword where sometimes they're psychologically dominating their opponents, and the other times they're getting called for 12 penalties a game to the Edmonton Oilers. If the Florida Panthers didn't beat themselves, they wouldn't lose any games.
Yeah, I have to agree with that. And there's some games where their goals score. I feel like with Florida, if they get one, they're getting 5. Like, I don't know. Like, it comes in bunches for them. Like, you will see some games where they'll struggle to get their first one. It'll be like a tight, close game, maybe like 0-0 or 0-1 for a while. And then as soon as they get that one, they have 5 before you know it. Like, it's crazy.
Nuts.
They do.
The way they do it, like, everybody talks about their forecheck and, vicious forecheck. What they do to people off the forecheck is unbelievable. But what really makes it terrifying to watch is they will recover the puck and then they will make plays with it. Like, Carolina is world famous for they will beat the living shit out of you off the forecheck, and then they will pass it up to their D, and their D will take a 200-foot wrister, and you'll just repeat that process 50 times and hope you get 2 goals. That's not what Florida's doing to these teams. I mean, they do take more point shots than most because you have to off the forecheck, but more often than not, and more often than most teams in that situation, you have these forwards who are really good at working off the wall. Mm-hmm. And just to bring this back to our original point, like, at this point, the game of hockey has become so fluid that it does go a little bit deeper than position. As in, if you have Michkov and Martone on the ice, and all of a sudden you have 2 guys who can just get every puck off the wall. But that is an advantage if you have me at center. If you have me at center, here's what's going to happen. Porter Martone's going to dump the puck in. He's going to recover said puck. He's going to make somebody look stupid, get the puck to Michkov, and Michkov is going to get the puck to me, and I'm going to score 1 out of every 4 times when I'm wide open, which is still good offense. And that's with the non-NHLer. Imagine if you had like an actual guy there.
Yeah, I mean, like you said, that ties back into the whole if Martone's there at 6, which, I mean, that was a question we answered earlier in the podcast. If he's there at 6, it's really hard to not walk up there. No, they're not going to walk up there. It's not to hand your card in or whatever they're going to do and pick him.
Yeah, I mean, depending on what's on the board, I guess. If for some reason you're deciding between James Higgins and Porter Martone and you decide James Higgins, I'm not going to shoot you.
He's actually the one guy that I said 20 minutes ago that I would kind of be deciding back and forth, but probably would end up going Martone if it was me personally. But like you said, I'm not mad if it's Higgins at the end of the day. Like, Higgins next to Michkov as well would be
glorious,
beautiful, chef's kiss.
Fantastic.
Real quick, I wanted to get Danny's. Well, not real quick because I actually wanted to get into it. Danny, I wanted to get your thoughts. Derek, I thought you had a good point today when you were talking about Charlie's tweet from last year, and you weren't dunking on anybody. It wasn't a dunk, like you said, but the point that you made, I'd like to dive into that about how like the 2025 draft was something that they kind of looked at, or have been looking at for a while.
Yeah. So last year, when the Flyers had a quiet offseason after extending Travis Konechny, Charlie O'Connor made the point that by extending Travis Konechny, you really had 3 opportunities to really change your team and get it going in a direction to maximize the Konechny contract. The first one was the summer that they passed up on. That was last summer. The next one was the trade deadline, which in all fairness, that is a hard deadline to rebuild your team, and I understand that. And the third one was this upcoming draft. And it has to be this upcoming draft. It can't just be the 2027 draft, because if you look at how our assets are structured, almost all of our excess assets, all of the extra picks that we've accumulated are in this draft. And the draft isn't deep enough to warrant that on its own. But all of these assets that we have accumulated, if we don't use them this summer, they are going to expire. And what your team looks like a year from now, it's hard to imagine you build a contender. I'll put it that way. Even if you draft a real stud at 6, you're going to need to do more. And you're probably not going to, with just a single pick, change everything. Like, even if you get Porter Martone, you still need to do things. Like, you can't actually run me at center. You do need to get an actual legitimate top 6 center, and you could do that one of two ways. Do you trade up in the draft? Yes, you could do that. Do you trade up in the draft for Jackson Smith? Yes, you can do that. Do you trade for Marco Rossi? Do you trade for this guy? Do you trade for that guy? You can do any number of things, but there is an expiration date, and the expiration date is June 28th. The rebuild's over on June 28th. Because all of the assets that we've accumulated during the rebuild will have expired. Because the way just the NHL works is when your picks turn into prospects that you drafted, you now have to hope other teams value that prospect the same way that you did. That's rarely the case. Teams have their own boards, and teams get wild on their own boards, especially once you get out of like the top 10. I mean, we saw it with Jet Luchenko, and I'm not dunking on him. I'm just making the point that the Flyers had a different board than a lot of teams, probably not all teams. They had a different board as soon as they fell out of the top 10 than pretty much 25 teams in the league call it. That's going to be every single prospect we draft, assuming we make all of these picks. You will no longer have the assets that you have right now. The rebuild has to be not complete. Your players can develop, to be clear.
And you can make other moves.
But your rebuild, you have to have taken dramatic steps forward come June 28th.
I think that's the best way to put it. I think a lot of people might be listening right now and like, oh, he's saying that they have to like do everything this month. Like that's not what you take the big chunk out of the apple is basically what he's saying in this draft. You have to make a significant move. And I think that's what I was saying basically 25 minutes ago, Danny. Like, I want to see them be aggressive. Like, I wanted to see Danny walk into this draft and lay his dick on the table, basically. I think that's what we're saying basically at the end of the day.
Yeah, you don't want to see them just keep punting away years, especially when they stacked up. It's like you're at the poker table and you have all the cards to play this year. And you don't want to wait till next year when you have potentially a worse hand. This is the year where you have to get creative and make something happen. And I agree with your point that this is not where the rebuild ends. Like it's where it begins to end, I guess is what you're trying to say. Like you're not making the Mitch Marner, here we go, we contend. It's a signal to the league that we're ready to take steps in the right direction.
Yeah, I think that's perfectly said. It's basically a building block, but it has to be a significant building block, I think. And I think it was his press conference. I don't know if it was his last one or second to last one. That's Briere. But he was talking about how, he said it out loud. 2 moves here in the offseason. Derek, I think you can correct me if he said 2. But I'm pretty sure he said 2 moves that, we can add a little bit here. I think were his words exactly. But yeah, I think they could do something along those lines. They have to do something along those lines.
Yeah, he definitely implied that they could make a move or 2. I forget if they specified 2, or they definitely, at the very least, said they could do some adding. And they have said repeatedly that it could be next year where they have all their money in, or it could be this year. As I just went over, I think it has to be this year because you have plenty of money this year. And look, whatever move you're going to make, the money rolls over to next year too, so you're fine. And that, what I will say is, I'll get to the point. You can make your move this year, whatever it is. You can trade for X player, X top 6 center. Doesn't have to be anybody in particular, just fill in a name. And then come next year, say the freaking impossible happens and McDavid or Jack Eichel hit free agency. Then yeah, you can sign them too. The Flyers have that much cap space. They can do something substantial this year, and then they are maybe 1 move away from then also signing Jack Eichel to more money than he's ever seen. Like, you could do both. And that is exactly why you can't wait. Because if you wait, then you're only doing one of those things, and you're trying to build the team around, let's say, Jack Eichel and Michkov, rather than, oh, I already built the team. I already built a team with some little moves that need to be made here or there, and then I'm adding Jack Eichel. Now we're ready to go. That's where you want to put yourself. You want to put yourself in a position where even if the Flyers aren't great next season, I'm not sitting here saying they got to make the conference finals or some shit. I'm saying you have to be like Ottawa was the year before this year. Ottawa sat down and said,
oh, no.
We're one guy away from the playoffs. We just need to get somebody to tend the damn net, get Linus Ullmark in here, and then they made the playoffs for the first time. Now, didn't fare well in the first round against the Leafs, but you're not going to immediately become an upper echelon contender, even when you finally make the playoffs, which is why the timeline for the Konechny contract is kind of important, because you have to kind of take these things realistically. If Danny says, I am going all in this year, I'm getting mad shit done, I am closing so many deals that Derek will build a statue in my honor. If he does that, then he's going to improve the team, and they'll probably miss the playoffs. And then he can come in next year and he can make the finishing touches, and they'll make the playoffs. And they'll get bounced in the first round. And then they'll try and do some tinkering here and there, and then hopefully they'll get a little further the next time they make the playoffs. And then by the time you've had your, let's say, fourth entrance into the playoffs, you're the Florida Panthers. That's 4 times making the playoffs, projecting 2 times fighting to get to the playoffs. So if Danny starts tomorrow rebuilding the whole roster, he does this as quickly as possible, you're talking about a 5 to 6 year plan. Travis Konechny is signed to 8 years. By the end of that 5 to 6 year plan, he will be 35, 34. The timeline is now. When you signed Konechny, the timeline started now. That's the point I've been making to people, is when you sign these guys, it's okay to sign them. You really like Travis Konechny. I understand that. But you can't say we're patient and we're signing Travis Konechny. It can't be both. Sometimes it's not smart to be patient.
As a fan, I struggle with the idea of going into this draft for all these assets and coming away with it with a couple NHL hopeful draft picks and then 4 Phantoms players. Like, if that's the end result of this draft, I don't see a light at the end of the tunnel.
Yeah, I think the exciting part about this is we don't have any inkling of who it could be, what their move is. Like, we have nothing. Like, everything that they actually end up doing is pretty much a surprise on my end. Like, I'm like, okay, we never talked about that guy. We never talked about this guy. So at the same, like, they could be eyeing somebody up, or have been eyeing somebody up for the last 2 months. We have no idea. So I think that's what makes it so exciting too, because the draft happened and they could it's not. This is a random fucking name. I'm not saying I've seen any kind of rumors about this guy, but what if they turn around and traded for Dylan Larkin during the draft? We didn't talk a fucking second. Dylan, I'm not saying he's available. I'm not saying that Detroit would even think about doing that. I'm just saying a player like that, where we just weren't talking about him. We have absolutely no idea he was even available, but the Flyers trade for him because they were eyeing him up. That's the exciting part of this. Who is it? Who's the guy that they're looking at? Is it in the draft? Is it both? Is it trade? You know what I mean? It's exciting to be a Flyers fan right now, but I am fucking bored, dude.
Yeah, and to make the point, I wasn't being dour in those posts, just as I wasn't being gloomy and dour when I was giving that whole spiel. I was establishing the stakes. I'm making it clear we have to do something. But my follow-up point is I do believe the Flyers front office is aware of what I'm saying, because I am not espousing rocket science here. Danny knows this. Keith Jones knows this. Even Dan Hilford, he probably knows this. So the Flyers understand, which means my guess is they're going to do something. And they're going to do something drastic. I don't think they're making all their picks on draft day. I would be stunned if they actually did that. You know what? I would be stunned if they didn't make a move that actually made us drop our jaws, because they have put themselves in a situation where the obvious move is to make a big move. Whatever it is, as you said, they have the license to decide that. But it's clear that the time is now. Yeah. And I think they know that.
Yeah, Keith Jones kind of alluded to that on the reading through the tea leaves quote on 94 WIP. I believe we posted it a couple weeks ago, where he said this year is the year where you're going to see us start to take some steps forward. Not the eventual leap that's going to come maybe 1 to 2 more years down the line when all that cap space frees up. But he did allude to taking steps forward this year. And you have to assume that means being creative with the assets that they stacked up over the last 2 seasons.
I mean, at the same time, like, it's not fucking rocket science, right? Like, no, you got 7 fucking picks in the first 2 rounds. Be fucking creative.
I really just think we're scarred as a fan.
We are.
Just a decade of doing nothing has scarred us. Like, oh, even though all signs point towards us, we're going to do something. We're still like, oh, we'll believe it when we see it, you know?
And by the way, I will be honest, it does not help that Danny thinks he's the CIA and, insiders can't just drop, Philly's interested in this guy, because Danny seriously thinks at the minute that an insider drops, hey, Philly's interested in Jason Robertson. Jason Robertson's all of a sudden going to call up his agent and say, get Philly on the new trade list now. Like, he thinks something drastic and horrific is going to happen if anybody finds out that he's interested in some big player. Danny, it's okay. We're allowed to know. And frankly, I think everybody would feel more comfortable knowing that you actually do have targets here, because I think it's fair of the fans to be like, they really said if we're in on a guy, it's because they haven't written about it yet. What the fuck does that mean? What, you're in on guys we haven't written about yet? That just sounds like you're in on nobody. Like, that's kind of what it sounds like. I gotta be honest.
I actually like the fact that, like, we don't hear anything out of that. Like the same thing, like, you don't hear anything out of the Eagles until, like, they actually make the fucking deal. I like the fact that you hear absolutely nothing out of the front office.
We did hear about the reported interest in Rossi, right?
At
least conversation.
We heard about the reported lack of interest in Rossi.
Nothing of substance about, like I've seen, like, oh yeah, the Flyers like him. Like, I haven't seen anything, like, confirmed. Like, has did Freeman say anything about Rossi, or am I? No. Like, I don't think it's Philly. Been. We really, like, what's the like? Let's sit here and think. What's the last of substance thing that we've got? Like, Philly's, like, in on that, where we're like, okay, we definitely know that Philly was involved. Like, maybe Rossi. Like, I think I've seen maybe a couple, like, multiple reporters kind of reiterate that. Maybe you can use that as an example, but it is kind of crazy how they keep it close to the vest in terms of, like, shit like trades and who they're interested in. Even the draft stuff. Like, I think we just talked about it in the group chat. Like, the Michkov draft. Like, oh yeah, the Flyers really like Leonard. Even if Michkov was there, they would have to. Yeah, okay. Like, Danny, who are you talking to?
the whole time he's in Voorhees playing air hockey.
Yeah, exactly. The whole time. I remember looking at my phone, being like, "Why is the skate zone closed out?" Whole time they're flying Michkov in, telling me, yeah, they like Leonard. The fuck out of here!
He's a compulsive liar. It's actually
I like it though.
Here's the thing: I will say, when you have the Eagles' track record, it's a lot more fun, because think about Howie is going to have to do what Howie has got to do. Whereas when you have Danny Briere's track record, you have dudes like Derek on Twitter going, "This motherfucker can't close," and meanwhile, he's not even in on anybody.
In Danny's defense, Howie Roseman had dudes that literally wanted to kill him, like, 4 or 5 years ago. Like, he got, like, Howie Roseman had more of a track record before he actually became a good GM than Danny had. Like, Danny has that, as a GM. Howie had, 8 before, the whole Chip Kelly shit thing where he got thrown in the back of the room. Like, Howie turned into a good GM because he learned by his mistakes and kind of, zoned. I don't know what happened with Howie. Like, did he find a genie and just be like, turn me into God? Like, that dude is like one of the best GMs in sports now. It's crazy to see the turnaround, but
bro found Harvey Specter and said, "Teach me how to close."
He really did. But yeah, like I need to see it from Danny. Like, he actually needs to make that flip the switch, like close, right, Derek. He's got to close at the end of the day.
Close.
And this is the summer. This is the summer where I want to see a creative move. I want to see somebody brought in here that can help now and in the future, but is also really exciting. So,
you know what? Somebody made a point a while ago, and this wasn't a Flyers point, but it was just a general point that because of the numbers you are going to see in free agency, I mean, we're talking about Carolina might offer Marner over $14 million. By the time McDavid hits the market next year, he's going to get $50 million a season. Only a mild exaggeration. Like, you are going to start seeing absolutely bonkers price tags attached to these players. So the smart move is not to go and sign one of those guys. The smart move is to find a guy who isn't on the greatest contract right now. And teams are like, man, I might want to get out of this. Contracts they're lukewarm on, and just pounce on those. Like Elias Pettersson. Elias Pettersson makes a little less than $12 million right now. And, you know, a lot of people are saying, oh my God, $12 million. That's so much. That's one of the highest pay rate. He's one of the highest paid centers in the league. Yeah, right this very second, he's one of the highest paid centers in the league. 2 years from now, Sam Bennett's going to be making $9 million. And I'm just using him as an example. Middle six centers are going to be making $10 million in 4 years. Like, these contracts are going to get absurd. You want to go in and bring in a guy on unrestricted free agency? You want to bring in a top six? You want to bring in a top center like Jack Eichel? You better come with $17 million on the market.
You think it was going to get that much? It's close to that?
Close enough. Like, maybe because next year isn't that far away. Maybe it's $15 million. Maybe it's 16. But it's going to be something like that. So at that point, why not save $5-6 million and see what it takes to pry Pettersson out of Vancouver?
I would like Pettersson. I mean, I think that's the kind of move that they got to take. Like, I think we said on the podcast before, you're not going to trade. You're not going to get a 1C through trade. That's a bona fide 1C, right? Because who the fuck is trading away a bona fide 1C? You're going to be trading for somebody with some kind of question mark surrounding them, right? So it just has to be like, I guess, the right question marks, or like the question marks that you think that you could fix the most or the easiest or can deal with the best in your organization. But there's going to be some kind of quote unquote problem with whoever they trade for if that's the route they go. Maybe their route is, hey, we're going to fucking, if Higgins is there at 4 or 5, we're going to make sure we go and get him and they go and grab him. Like, maybe that's their plan. We don't know. We'll see. But I'm excited to see what they do.
Yeah, 100%. Also, on the Pettersson note, a couple of people have mentioned this, and John Bailey, who writes for the Flyers, also did some writing for the Canucks, so he paid closer attention to that whole situation than I did. And he pointed out to me in DMs a couple of weeks ago that people kind of misunderstand what was going on between Pettersson and Tocchet. There's no feud there. What happened was Pettersson got injured at the end of last year, 23-24. Going into that playoffs, he was playing hurt. So for like that whole second half, he was, playing like a bum practically. And then in the playoffs, he was playing like a bum. And the reason was he was playing hurt. And he goes and he gets it mostly corrected over the summer. And he comes back this season and he has his worst season. So you would think, oh my God, Rick Tocchet's murdering him. Or he's complete. And the locker room drama with JT Miller certainly didn't help. But a big part of it was simply that Pettersson, because he was growing accustomed to playing on what was a bum knee, more or less, was starting to allow some bad habits to climb into his game. And they weren't defensive bad habits. They were offensive bad habits. That these were the habits that were leading him to not be the 100-point scorer that you knew. Like, for example, he wasn't moving his feet along the boards. He was getting pinned to the wall instead of escaping with the puck. or he wasn't ripping shots like we know he can. He wasn't blasting his way through the neutral zone when he saw a single defender and trying to take him on one-on-one like we know he can. Instead, he was like, oh, I don't know. That guy's got a pretty decent gap. Let me pull up. Let me go backwards. Let me regroup. That's kind of what Tocchet meant, is he was playing very apprehensively. He was playing like a guy who I think he was still somewhat hurt for probably most of the season. But then even after he got over it, assuming he did, I think he did, even after he got over it, he was still kind of playing with the phantom of the injury in his mind. But one thing that Tocchet said, he was quite firm about it too, he genuinely believes that Elias Pettersson is going to have a bounce-back season. He said it before he was gone. He might have even said it a little bit after, that Elias Pettersson is going to be that 100-point player again. So it's not going to be Rick Tocchet that vetoes an Elias Pettersson trade, because Rick Tocchet has been one of Elias Pettersson's most ardent defenders.
It's going to be John Tortorella from the top of the Wells Fargo Center or the Xfinity Mobile Center. He's going to block that trade from the shadows, dude.
And we allegedly are not allowed to call him a member of the Third Reich.
Danny, what are you going to say?
I was going to say, all those points just makes me believe it makes more sense to go after a guy like Elias Pettersson with the pass connection to Rick Tocchet. We've seen when he's healthy what he can be, and this team desperately needs what that player was 2 years ago. It's exactly the kind of gamble you have to take. Like, is it worrisome with the injuries? Yes, but to your point, Chris, you're not going to get the perfect 1C because teams lock up those guys immediately.
Exactly. Like, you're not going to get a 1C that, like, nobody's trading away Quentin Byfield. Sorry. You're not going to get a guy like that. So, like I said, it's definitely going to be somebody that we have absolutely no idea that that was even available or they were even interested in. So 2 weeks away from a draft, I'm so excited to finally get this shit going, dude. I feel like we've been talking about the fucking draft for like 3 years.
I need to be done with this draft, honestly.
I know. Real quick before we go, Derek, I just want to get your quick thoughts on some sleeper draft picks and like the teams that you would like to see them go up for. And like just thoughts on like Martone being there at 6 real quick before we wrap it up.
If Martone is there at 6, we have a joke that I probably won't repeat on the podcast. I will be a little more professional, but let's just say that I am fiercely in favor of drafting Martone at 6, pretty much no matter who's still on the board. Hell, if Matthew Schaefer's still on the board and you draft Porter Martone, I won't be mad at you, Danny. It's okay. You have my permission. So Porter Martone at 6, break glass in case of emergency, draft him by whatever means necessary. As for guys I like towards the middle of the first round, Lyndon Lakovic is one of my favorite players in the draft. Just to watch, he is fantastic. His production does not scream ultra-skilled player, but that's mostly because he plays for the worst collection of hockey players the world has ever known. Like, you guys think Guelph is bad? Guelph would trounce these children that Lakovic is playing with. It's bad. And he still was over like a point per game, I think just over a point per game. If you look at the offensive involvement of Lakovic, how much he creates relative to how much his team creates, his involvement percentage is similar to Michael Misa and Porter Martone. Like,
he's a left winger, right?
Yes. He's a 6'4" left winger with absolutely bonkers puck skills. Like, he's also a very fluid skater. Like, he has pretty much all of the quote unquote small player skills that a 6'4" player should not have. Now, what's the downside? Frankly, I think the downside has been rabidly overstated in terms of importance, but the downside is that he does not play a physical game whatsoever at this stage. You're hoping to teach him some of that, especially because he's going to need a little bit of it to survive in the NHL. But if you teach him even a little bit of a physical game, he doesn't need to be an overly physical player, you are getting a very exciting, very dynamic top 6 winger. You can play on the left side in your top 6. And similar to Roger McQueen, Roger McQueen has this ability to where, despite having this very long reach and extremely long stick, he can make plays in tight with the puck. He can handle the puck right in his feet and get off the wall. Lakovic can do all of that just as well as he can, if not better. That is a massive upside swing. Braden Coots is another one of my guys, and he gets a lot of comparisons to Jet Luchenko, which I actually agree with because I do not hate Jet Luchenko, actually. I do like Braden Coots a little bit better, and the simple reason is I believe in his primary skill a little bit more. For example, Jet Luchenko's primary skill is his skating. Very good skill to have. Braden Coots is a very good skater, probably a little bit behind Luchenko in that category. Actually, not probably. Definitely at least a little bit behind Luchenko in that category. But his ability to make plays with the puck and make plays with the puck under pressure, his ability to protect the puck is fantastic. I mean, he made some plays this season. He's another guy who was on a just awful team. I don't know if it's as bad as the Moose Jaw Warriors, but it's pretty bad. He would wind up taking guys 1-on-4 and not even get a scoring chance out of it because his teammates are in the middle of doing God knows what. So that is a very real bet on very real upside. He had a fantastic under-18 tournament. I think that's been flying under the radar how good he was at the U18s because everybody's been focused on the rise of Brady Martin as a saintly and divine figure. Which, speaking of guys who are rising at the U18s, the third guy I'll give is Cole Reshny, our boy Liam in the group chat from Black Stitch Hockey, who does good work, covers prospects a lot. He has been a huge Cole Reshny guy. He has been the proselytizer of Cole Reshny for very good reason. He is super evasive, super slippery, very, very good on his edges. This is the type of player that Chris Stumpo loves to watch. And he is also extremely smart, very efficient. He is cerebral and evasive both. He's a guy that is small. I think his lack of size has been a little bit exaggerated. People kind of make him out as if he's 5'7" or some crap. He's like 5'11", but skinny. He's going to play in the NCAA next year. You can probably get him in the middle of the first round. He has definitely been rising on boards. Rumors are that he had a very good conversation with the Flyers and that they really liked how he presented himself. I would believe that because he frankly sounds like a Danny Briere kind of player. So any of those three guys, I'm all in on. I'm also all in on Jackson Smith. I did not mention Jackson Smith because I feel like that got a lot of play. That, it looks like the Flyers are very interested in Jackson Smith as a trade-up candidate. I think we all knew about him, so I went into some other guys.
I talked enough about him before you hopped on, so you're good there. And one guy before we go that I want to mention that I think if he might be available, Carter Bear. If they go and look at him as a guy who could fall because of that Achilles injury, that would be really, really, really nice to see. Danny, I don't know if you have anything else to add.
Nope. I'm ready to wrap it up when y'all are.
Yeah, that's good for me.
Any finishing touches, Derek? Are you good?
I'm good. Well, actually, we should probably talk about Carter Bear a little bit. People know him a little bit more than maybe the guys I mentioned because at one point he was a top 5 prospect in the class, according to some boards, including mine early on in the year.
Yeah.
But just to give you a quick primer on Carter Bear, this guy is the living embodiment of physical skill in the NHL. Like, he is going to get inside of you. He is going to protect the puck.
Pause.
Yeah, man, pause on that. Anyway, he's going to get inside positioning on players. He is going to reverse hit people. He is going to absolutely demolish you on the forecheck. And all of this, despite being an under 6 foot player, he's a little bit like Brady Martin in that regard, except he's a little less brash and a little more surgical about it. And then once he gets the puck, he is really good both around the net and making plays for other people around the net. If you guys know Seth Jarvis, that he is very similar to Seth Jarvis. I don't know if he's quite the skater Jarvis is, but he has this same style of kind of brash, smash mouth, take the puck from you, bring it straight to the net and still bury it kind of game. And I think NHL teams are going to be very excited to draft him a little bit lower than he should be drafted.
Well, this has been episode 116 of the Liberty O. Follow us on all socials at the Liberty O and at Suitable Alias, at Chris Stumps, and at TLY Danny.
And go Flyers.